Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. I still don't know where my intro audio is for my darned Fanatic show, but you know what? That's just life. That's just how it rolls sometimes. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Got another episode of Fanatic Radio for you guys, and this should be pretty entertaining. As a lot of my listeners know, I'm really into fan documentaries, and I picked up a really good one, a couple weeks back, probably more than a couple of weeks because my sense of time is completely screwed up. I got a really great documentary called Starweight, which is about a diehard group of Star Wars fans who uphold or upheld this tradition to, wait outside the Grauman's Chinese Theater for tickets. I'm sure that it took place in other locations, but this was what this documentary was based on, and I loved it. But my favorite person that they focused on in this, real-life documentary, and he is such a character, but he is obviously a real person. His name is Grimlock, a.k.a. Jason. And I was really happy to find him on Facebook, and he definitely, wanted to do an interview, which is great, and I don't want to keep him waiting anymore, so here we go. Hey, Grimlock, are you there?
Grimlock is here.
Hey, how are you tonight? How you doing?
I'm good. I got a little cold. I'm drinking some tea, but everything's good otherwise. How are you?
Oh, no, colds are no good. I am getting over one, so I have snot dripping down my throat, so I feel you. I feel you, my friend.
Well.
That was a great visual, right?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's, obviously, I guess the big topic tonight will be Star Wars. I mean, are you as big of a fan as you were kind of painted to be in the documentary Starweight, or is it kind of like a side fandom, or, I mean, how into Star Wars are you?
I don't think I go a day without referencing it. I don't think anybody in my life doesn't know that I'm the biggest nerd they know as far as it comes to Star Wars, and I'm just as big today as I was. I don't think it's something that ever really leaves you,
Exactly. Well, when was the first moment that you really just, saw or heard about Star Wars and it just kind of clicked for you that you said, this is just a lifelong thing that I just want to attach myself to?
I don't remember seeing Star Wars Episode 4 in the theater. That was 1977. I was 3. I do remember seeing Empire Strikes Back in the theater. And I remember waiting in line. And something about it. I think I'm part of a generation that was looking for father figures, looking for examples, generation raised by women, all that stuff. And somehow Star Wars gave me those role models. It gave me that sense of, what good is. And something I told George Lucas once, I was being interviewed on another thing, and they asked me, what is it about Star Wars? And I told them that I don't remember dreaming before I saw Star Wars, and I don't think I ever stopped after I saw it. And I think those things are what have lit a fire in me that exists to this day. And I adore these movies. I adore the modern mythology that he's spun for this generation. For a couple generations now. And I don't think its impact can ever be overestimated or, underestimated, whatever. No matter what I do, I think of what would Yoda do? What would Obi-Wan do? When I'm confronted with questions on whatever in my life, I always think, all right, what would Yoda maybe do? So.
Right. We need to get some. We need to get some WWYD bracelets. What would Yoda do?
Oh yeah, you think I haven't thought of it? But alas, I don't know that everybody was touched like I was or that group of people were, but I think that a lot more have than will admit. So.
Right. Exactly. Well, a big question in my mind, I guess, then, because you started out, a little bit earlier than this new generation of fans, is when you heard that, the wars were being resurrected for episode 1 coming out, like, how did you feel when you finally realized, oh, this is a reality now, like, this isn't just talk, it's actually going to be coming out, there's a trailer and all that?
Okay, well, when the first trailer came out, me and, 8 people I know recorded this trailer. And we spent maybe 3 days watching that trailer on a repeat. I think we ended up watching that first trailer maybe 12 hours straight, just, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever it was. So we watched that trailer more than the length of the movie. That's how excited we were. We had such hope. We had, it was going to be the fulfillment of everything we wanted. And then the movie came out. And I had waited in the episode 1 line. I had been there for 6 weeks waiting in front of the Chinese theater once again. And I felt like a donkey had kicked me in the stomach after I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
There were some good scenes, some good parts, and I know that there was things that he had to get accomplished in the arc of the story, but I felt like I found out that the Tooth Fairy wasn't real again. I don't know. It was bad.
The Tooth Fairy was beaten the crap out of by Jar Jar Binks, basically.
No, Jar Jar doesn't exist in my universe.
Okay, good.
There was something called the Phantom Edit, where a group of people edited out every scene with Jar Jar. I never got to see it, but I think that would be a vastly improved movie. I was so disappointed because, if you remember at the time, all the merchandising and stuff, it was all based around how awesome Darth Maul looked and how awesome he was going to be. And he had 2 lines in the movie, and then boom, gone. I was very disappointed in that because he was badass. But, episode 2 helped immensely bring back my faith in the Force.
Exactly. It seems like, Lucas took a lot of the fan criticisms and he really applied it to trying to make, shall we say, like a better end product after episode 1. There was like that kind of little slap in the face, though, where there was like 2 or 3 minutes of Jar Jar and he didn't speak, but he kind of like looks at the camera to kind of be like, oh yeah, hi, I'm still here, by the way. Well,
what I thought was great, what I thought was ironic about that whole situation, about how many people hated Jar Jar, hate Jar Jar to this day. Hate. It's so well deserved, the hatred that we have for Jar Jar. But if you watch the movie, it's Jar Jar that basically gives power to Palpatine and ruins the whole universe. So he's the total douchebag of the entire Star Wars universe. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Exactly. I mean, our political system kind of mirrors that these days, though, where you just put like one idiot in charge of everything.
Yeah, there's not enough people. There's not enough Force wielders in power currently. If people would watch, if they had watched Star Wars, maybe they'd have some clue, but no. Well, now this comes to the other big subject is, liningup.net, waiting in line, and obviously during this documentary, a lot of people would come up to you guys on the street and just kind of roll their eyes and be like, oh, you're in line to just see a movie, and they kind of forget that it's about the fan experience, and what experiences, waiting with your fellow fans was such a grab for you that you kept doing it again and again and again. Well, I remember the first night I showed up in '99 for episode 1. Me and my friends were sitting around watching the news, and there was a splash of this group of people covered in tarps. It had been lightly showering that night, sitting in front of the Chinese theater waiting for Star Wars, and I said, all right, dude, we got to go see this. So we drive down there. I don't live too far from Hollywood, LA, all that. And I got there, and we started talking to these people, and I ended up spending like 7 hours that night, and I thought, oh, my God. You know, it was one of the first times in my life I'd felt like total acceptance about all the things that I'd ever thought, and the passion, and just the sense of fun, wonder, awe. I could talk to the people that were there about it without feeling like a total nerd. And you have to remember, at the time, you know, this was a time before nerd chic was in effect. It's cool to be a nerd now. It wasn't cool to be a nerd then, you know.
Yeah.
And the people who are reading comic books and talking about Star Wars and all that, they tend to get kicked in the teeth in school and stuff. Luckily, I didn't really get a lot of that because I was a little bigger, but I know people who definitely did, you know. People who would carry, you know, 20-sided dice to school or whatever. Yeah, these people would tend to get picked on, and it was not cool. Well, when I was talking to these people, they all get it. And you have to understand that, you know, this group of people, they're all the semi-social outcasts of wherever they were from, and they had finally found a group of people that were fairly accepting of them. And we had this one bond, and it was just, it was an unbelievable experience. And after being there for a couple hours, I knew that I had to go back. We had a system where most people were working, going to school, whatever, but we had a big group there, so we would basically keep track of the amount of hours you spent in line, so you could leave. And I found myself back there almost every day for 6 weeks, you know, and it's hard to not have a good time on Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, we had hookers and just fights and anything you could think of that might happen on Hollywood Boulevard probably did. Some of it didn't end up on tape, you know, in '99. Some did. I don't know where it's at. I mean, Jay Leno came out and did a skit with me. Just all kinds of things happened there. And it was just so fun. I mean, when that line ended, everybody was depressed. It was like, what do we do now? I was so sad. It took me like a month to kind of get back into the groove of my regular life. But the experience of, you know, just stupid things like playing board games at 3 a.m. on Hollywood Boulevard. You know, just the stupid things that we were doing, skating down Hollywood Boulevard in the middle of the night, just all the stupid things. It was just a magical time for, I think, everybody that was there. And you kept seeing a lot of the faces throughout all 3 lines that happened there because people didn't want to let go of that.
And I know it has been a while since, you know, the last line has let out, but do you hold really close friendships or at least, you know, still talk to a lot of the people from that line? Or any of them?
I do have some close friendships with a very select few. Now, that gets back to the original point of, like, all of us being social outcasts. Well, inevitably, the bond of Star Wars wasn't enough to prevent people who weren't used to being social from fracturing and splintering off into, like, their little groups and stuff. Cliques formed. It's funny how, like, you know, they couldn't be the alpha whatever in whatever group they were in school or whatever, but they were here, and so you'd have these little cliques breaking off and hating on each other and stuff. So a lot of the people that lined up don't talk to each other to this day. You know, occasionally we'll get together for events and stuff. There are a lot of groups of those people who are still very close friends. I kind of kept the few people that I really wanted to spend time with, and I don't have any animosity toward really any of them. I mean, there were some douchebags there, and there were some people that I shouldn't beat down, but all in all, it was such a great part of my life that I kind of let some things go.
Right, exactly. Now, what are, and I usually only say one, but then people are like, oh, you can't make me choose one. So I'll just say, like, what have been your top 3 moments as a Star Wars fan, whether it's in relation to lining up or in life?
Okay, are we talking about movie scenes, or are we talking pretty much
anything, like in real life, movie scenes, whatever you please, my dear. Okay.
Well, again, because I think in Star Wars, like, I work at a grocery store right now, and when it's really crazy busy, and I'm trying to navigate through the minefield that are all my customers, I can hear the asteroid music in my head. You know, and I'll be trying to get through all these people, and I'll hear that music in my head. And I've gotten almost everybody to go, you know, at work. That's just one of the things I do, because it's like, me and my friends were playing this board game called Epic Duels, which was a Star Wars-based card game. And at the time, before we knew how to play the game, Yoda was like the scariest character, and my friend Art would go when he was coming after you, and it was scary. And oh my God, you know, there isn't just one thing. You know, I like to talk about how pimp I am like Lando to all these girls. There was a time where a few years back, I had to have a tooth pulled, and they knocked me out, but I guess you're not really out of it. And when I was coming to, I remember the dentist saying, "Get this guy out of here," because apparently I'd been hitting on the nurses in the room using Star Wars lines while I was kind of out of it. You know, I don't. Oh my God. That's how bad it is. I can't not think in terms. I can't even be unconscious and not have it going on. So.
Were you doing it in like your regular voice, or were you doing it in like a Yoda voice? That would have been like 10 times as better. It's a Yoda voice.
I wish I knew. All I know is that my friend was dying, busting up, and I was in no state to drive myself home. They just wanted me out. And I don't know what I said, but that's how it was related to me, what I was doing, and I just there's no way to narrow it down to even 10 things, because you can apply almost any scene to anything. Oh God, I'm a nerd.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I run a radio show called Fanatic Radio. I love hearing these stories, so I guess I'm a nerd too. So it's all good.
Good for you. Good for you.
What other fandoms are you into other than Star Wars? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you would be. I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but are you also a Transformers fan?
You could say that. People have been calling me Grimlock since I was like in 7th grade. And, I mean, that's one of the few things that can still get me teary-eyed. If you watch the cartoon movie, when Optimus Prime dies, it wrecks me. I can't, you know, I haven't cried in like 20 years. You know, I've had cats die and stuff and people die. I haven't cried, but I tear up when Optimus Prime dies. And then when Optimus says, "Arise, Rodimus Prime," I freak out. You know, I start feeling like I could push cars and lift I-beams and stuff. So, yeah, you could say that. I mean, it was one of those things that, like, Transformers almost gave me a basis for the person I wanted to be. I would take, like, the good aspects of Optimus Prime and Yoda and Robotech or Lord of the Rings and, you know, say, okay, this is kind of the person I want to become. This is who I need to be. This is the role model. This is the example, you know. And so, yeah, I have delved into some of these other fandoms, and I think there's good things in all of them. And, you know, this might be controversial to say, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan that ever lived, maybe, but I love Star Trek too. I don't see that there has to be this, like, competition. I like what George Takei is doing, trying to unite us against glittering vampires. That's wonderful.
I was going to mention that. I was going to mention that you beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Come on now. I mean, I think that's great. I mean, we're all joined by this sense of awe and wonder about, like, what the future could possibly hold and what these science fiction things have brought to us. And then there's Twilight.
Yeah.
And those people you put to sleep.
Yeah, I love it when he was like, whereas the main problem in Twilight is, does my boyfriend like me? And I lost it. I almost pissed. I almost did.
So
oh my God.
I think you can enjoy Star Wars and Star Trek, and I do enjoy them both. So yeah, I'm a cross pollinator. I enjoy them all. So.
What is one fandom that you are involved in or were, or something that you enjoy on the side that people would be surprised about you?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Sorry. Suspense music.
Fandom that they would be surprised? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm huge into. Okay. I've spent the last 8 years playing Final Fantasy XI. I don't know if that's a big surprise to anybody. It's the one online game that came out for PlayStation 2, and I was ripping on that for the first 6 hours of my day today. Is that surprising? Probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's really it. I mean, I love history. I love astronomy. Surprise. I can't think of anything that might be a total surprise. I'm addicted to Dexter and Boardwalk Empire. I haven't read any books recently because I'll go on a crazy book reading binge and then I won't pick one up for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know that anything would really surprise anyone. I mean, I go fishing and camping and hiking and all that stuff as much as possible, so I get out there in the wild. I'm not this total internet skinny, scrawny guy. I eat gluten. I eat meat. I almost fought a bear this last year.
I can picture that happening too. That's not even surprising.
I have pictures of me in front of it. So it started mauling some of our tents, and I got out and I shot pepper spray at it, which doesn't work too well at 16 degrees. It came out slushy. So I said, You know what? I pulled out my 6.0 Maglite and I pulled out my my bucksack. I said, if I'm going down, I'm going down like a G. So.
Oh man. All right. Well, I mean, we've got about 5 minutes and 43 seconds left. So, are there any kind of things that you're working on that are kind of public things, or do you prefer life kind of out of the public eye, except for being known for being a big fan, or what does Grimlock want to do? What is Grimlock's kind of big goal for the next 5 or 10 years? What is your Death Star? What do you want to do?
Well, I've been working on getting a real job. Other than that, I mean, I want to live a life of adventure and excitement for as long as I can ride it out. You know, this last year has been one of my most adventurous years. I drove across country. We hit a bunch of national parks. I was getting punked by Billy Goat. Drove through tropical storms. I ended up at something called Dragon Con in Atlanta, and I mean, I did everything I could possibly do this year that was awesome in my life. I didn't miss out on a single opportunity to do anything, and I want to continue that as much as is possible.
Awesome.
That's my goal. There was a time in my life where I was working 70 hours a week. And those are years that I realized you don't get back. and I look back and I have nothing to show for it. So because of that realization, I'm going to take every opportunity to have every adventure that I can. You know, I don't know if you go around this world once or whatever, but I'm not gonna be one of these old men that sits around and has no stories to tell. So that's my real goal, and a better job. So that's it.
Correct.
I'm planning on trying to get to Alaska this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's my life goal. And I wouldn't mind having a fine nerd hyena at my side. You know, that would be pretty good. I'm always working on that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, awesome. Well, if you ever want to come back on the show again, you definitely have some awesome stuff to talk about. But for now, Blog Talk Radio is yelling in my ear that our time is almost up, and she's a very annoying British woman who says, your show will end in whatever seconds. So thank you very much for being on the show, Grimlock. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I enjoyed it. I got plenty of things to say, I guess. So on that note, may the force be with you, and, you know, party on, man. Good luck.
Party on, Wayne. All right. Oh, here's one good question since I have a little bit of time left. But are you a Beavis and Butthead fan? I don't know why, but I don't know why I picked. You are one, right?
Oh yeah, and I keep watching on YouTube clips of them reviewing the Human Centipede.
Oh God. Oh,
it's so good.
I told myself I would never ever have to see any of that movie because like the premise of it is so gross, and then of course they play it on Beavis and Butthead, and then like watching a train wreck I'm like, oh my God, I can never enjoy a poop again.
Oh, I enjoy them immensely. It didn't prevent me.
Oh God. But
yeah.
What do you think? Like, is it better or like worse compared to? I mean, cause I'm a fan of old school Beavis and Butthead, so.
I think it was a natural progression. I think it's just as good. I think if you're a fan of my things, you would like this. I mean, now they're making fun of like the MTV reality shows, which is spectacular. I mean,
yes,
it's the perfect venue to do it. They're the guys to make fun of these idiots.
Like, oh, you're going to call your grandchildren bitches? Yeah, you're the best Grandma J. Well.
Exactly. You know, somebody needed to do it.
And they make fun of Twilight. That works out good, too.
Yeah. Yeah. They provide a kind of social equilibrium, I guess. These other uncool, nerdy things that are out there needed to be popped. They needed to be brought down to our level. And Beavis and Butthead are just the guys to do it.
Right, awesome. All right, well, I'll definitely get in touch with you again to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm going to end the show now because Blog Talk's going to cut me off, and then it's going to be really awkward. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great night.
May the force be with you.
May the Schwartz be with you, Spaceballs. Wow. All right, guys, I'm going to end it on that random note because my time is almost up. But thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for another episode of Craziness. Bye!
So you're ready to